When was America great? America was great for about 20 years. When people are ashamed or they talk about the United States being a racist country, they're not wrong. It's just they need the full story. The full story is that evil always tries to reverse the outcomes of justice. And we've seen this many times. We even saw it after the Revolutionary War. We saw Britain trying to come back and take over again. In the War of 1812, they even burned the White House. In the 1920s, America was extremely racist. And this is because the immoral and amoral people in charge tried to backdoor the Civil War and change the outcome through state legislatures making laws collectively known as Jim Crow laws that imposed segregation and prohibited Black citizens from running for office in both the state and national level. Now, this is an interesting statistic if you don't believe me. The first 2 Black senators, they were both from Mississippi. You want to know what? After those Jim Crow laws were passed, there wasn't another Black senator until 1967. And even though Edward Brooke took office in 1967, after the Civil Rights Act was passed, he was a Republican just like the first 2. It wasn't until 1993 that the next Black senator took office. Carol Moseley Braun was the first female Black senator. She was also the second and last Black U.S. senator in the 20th century. And the next Black U.S. senator was Barack Obama. So that right there tells you that what I'm saying about the Jim Crow laws and segregation is true. When was America great? America was great for about 20 years. Maybe less. After the Civil War, the military was down there reconstructing the South. Things were looking up for former slaves. They all got to learn how to read finally, not just the ones who escaped, and really taking control of their lives and prospering greatly. Well, that just wouldn't do, would it? For people who do not value human life, people who do not value justice, people who are only out for themselves with this almost sociopathic attitude, my property and things. Make no mistake, we went into an extremely racist period of time.
This 1915 silent film attempts to justify both Jim Crow and the KKK by suggesting that the 1871 duly elected South Carolina legislature was both corrupt and unable to govern. The Birth of a Nation is known as the first American blockbuster. And like the book and the play it was based on, leading scholars, newspapers, and the NAACP opposed this as an attempt to divide the races and reopen old wounds. Author Thomas Dixon was inspired to write it reportedly after seeing a performance of Harriet Beecher Stowe's Uncle Tom's Cabin in Connecticut. To him, he was restoring and setting the record straight. The film was a box office smash, partly because it appealed to white Protestant Americans concerned about the rapid rise in immigration. And the film's reception wasn't hurt one bit by Woodrow Wilson agreeing to a special screening of the film in the East Room of the White House shortly before opening day. You see, Thomas Dixon Jr. and Woodrow Wilson had gone to Johns Hopkins together, and there's no doubt that Wilson, a Democrat raised in Augusta, Georgia, was sympathetic to Dixon's beliefs. It was Wilson who segregated the federal employment system, resulting in many Black employees being let go through attrition or relegated to menial tasks. After all, God forbid free Blacks and whites could learn to live together in harmony. No, in the film, passage of this bill is cause for melodramatic concern. Here we have the main character lamenting the bill allowing intermarriage between Blacks and whites. Naturally, a racist film would use white actors in blackface for leading roles. Here we see a Republican leader of the legislature, along with a military officer and a white Republican carpetbagger discovering the newly designed Klan robes. Birth of a Nation even deigns to reverse engineer the rationale behind use of the white sheets. Seems our fictional fearless leader got the idea for the white sheet after watching 2 white children scare off some Black children by using a white sheet. The film culminates in the Black military officer, empowered by those dastardly Republicans, pursuing the beautiful girl through the forest. The damsel threatens to jump from a cliff, if the soldier comes any closer, which he does, and she jumps, thereby giving the excuse to the Klan to hunt him down and lynch him. The film directly resulted in the rebirth of the Ku Klux Klan, which had been stamped out by the U.S. Congress and President Ulysses S. Grant in 1872. But perhaps the film's most shameful legacy was the glorification of vigilante, quote, justice. Given that the scene is so prominent in this film of the lynching of an actor in blackface, we cannot ignore the film's impact on perpetuating the practice much longer than it should have. Ku Klux Klan membership peaked in 1924 at between 1.5 million and 4 million, depending on the source. As we look back on our nation's various laws on immigration, we tend to forget the prominent role played by the pseudoscience of eugenics, which basically says that those who are, quote, feeble-minded should not reproduce. This idea was so pervasive in the early 20th century that it even influenced Adolf Hitler and did not abate until the end of World War II, when the entire world saw the destructive consequences.
But sadly, this racist attitude was actually promulgated from the very heights of our intellectual royalty. One man named Madison Grant, he was buddies with Theodore Roosevelt. He was a New Yorker, but he was a conservationist and he loved to go into the outdoors. He wrote a book. It was about the decline of the white race and how it was being diluted and pushed to the side. That came out, I believe, in about 1916. This book was big. And guess who read it? Hitler read it. So I don't know why we don't have this more out in the open.
Hey everybody, it's Tatiana with Back to Facts. I just wanted to take a moment to ask you to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and tap the bell for notifications so you don't miss any videos. And thanks for being part of the Back to Facts community. See you soon.